47 seconds of logos, calling your production company original film, and then proceeding to make films that rip off Saw, Cube, and several other horror movies.
From the beginning of civilization, we've known there was something captivating about watching human beings fight for their lives.
The movie gives you a narrated essay on why you're watching this movie. It's like when you go to Pornhub and click on any video, someone says, from the beginning of time, people have enjoyed watching people fuck other people.
We created a sport for people who still have a thirst for savagery.
Oh, so people in this world pay to see this? Wouldn't it be cool to actually show these people who bought the special Roku device that gets this channel? It'd be kind of cool to see people betting on who they think will survive, and the people watching who can solve the puzzles, you know, like that dickhead Rebecca who always ruins Jeopardy. Also, in case we forget, previously on Escape Room.
She sacrificed herself for us!
She did not.
You're the psycho that designed this murder maze, huh?
No, I'm the game's master. The puzzle maker designs the rooms.
Serial killer semantics.
Every time I close my eyes, I see them fall.
Oh good, now we're going to keep watching moments from the previous film. When I started watching Escape Room Tournament of Champions, I didn't realize I was getting the Silent Night Deadly Night 2 version of this franchise, but here we are.
I remember that in the middle of everything, Amanda took the time to hold my hand to tell me that everything was gonna be okay.
It's really interesting that she remembers this exact moment that was actually pretty f***ing early on in the experience and probably had little to no bearing on Zoe surviving. Surely the movie won't do something ridiculous and bring Amanda back toward the end of the sequel. Damn it!
Your mother's not really gone, though.
Wait, when the f*** did this happen on previously on Escape Room?
I have a daughter.
They're just making stuff up now. Discount, carry word.
When someone you love becomes a memory.
Man, even if this is a scene that was cut out of the original Escape Room, they didn't even have time to have this discussion. They were in a room that was rapidly getting colder. Any story about daughters would have been met with, "F*** your daughter, I've got clues to find."
It sounds like Amanda was a good friend.
She was.
You knew her for like 3 hours.
To a hammer, everything is a nail.
Wrong. Sometimes it's the evidence they can't find when your wife, say Bonnie Bedelia, kills your mistress, say Greta Skaki. Totally random names for sure, but refutes your hammer nail bullshit. I can't really explain it, but it bothers me that they didn't capitalize off on slide to shut off, or simply decapitalize shut. Either way, go f*** yourself, smartphones.
She thinks that driving to New York is a way of avoiding my underlying fear of flying.
Is this really what we're hung up on at the beginning of this movie? Zoe's fear of flying? At the end of the last movie, she was super determined to expose Minos. Do we really think flying was going to get in her way? I'm surprised they haven't driven there already if flying was the hang-up.
You were gonna fly with me.
It's just these past few weeks I've kind of really enjoyed not dying.
Sloth!
Well, I have this, weird loyalty thing for people who saved my life.
You said boner weird.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Movie has time for this.
Come on! We gotta go!
Fake out dream sequence escape room is dream sequence. I know we want to show that these characters have PTSD from their experience, but this doesn't factor into their actions in any meaningful way. It's empty calories for the audience. Besides, about 2 seconds into this, you were probably thinking, how the f*** did Minos know they would go to this hotel and pick this room for their Minos shit? And as you probably realized, they didn't.
This was from 2 days ago. It's filled with workers.
How convenient! One of those Google Maps cars just happened to go down this alley 2 days ago. This is the action that gets Zoe and Ben into the subway escape room. But what if she didn't bring a necklace? Oh, I'm sure Minos did their research and they knew she had a necklace to steal, but I'm asking, what if she didn't? How do you get them down in the subway at that point? What if this f***er trips? Or the rock stops him? Zoe looks around at all the passengers, all of whom will be a part of this first escape room, all of whom played a previous version of the game. So, how the f*** did Minos get these exact people, and only these people, on this one car of an actual-ass train, and at the exact time they all needed to be on the train? Did they all have someone steal something from them to lead them here? Also, since we find out later that Minos had actually wanted to lure Zoe and Ben onto an airplane escape room, how did they get this one set up so quickly? And how could Minos be sure random passengers not involved in the game wouldn't be in the car? And if this was always going to be a tournament of champions, wouldn't they have preferred to have Ben and Zoe here as opposed to on the plane?
Hit the button!
I have hit the button!
Using elevator rationale on an out-of-control subway train. Pushing the button over and over on a stopped elevator doesn't work either, Carl. Carl. What happens when the subway gets to its next stop missing a car? Does no one report this? At least in the first film, the characters were in one location that we could at least somewhat believe Minos had control over. But the idea that Minos could interact in this fashion with the outside world without anyone noticing is some bullshit. Everyone survives this.
Don't you think it's a little early for that?
Being a dick to day drinking, but also, you don't know if he's been drinking it or not. He could just be carrying it around so he has it later that evening. He could be holding it for a friend. And no one judged you for talking loudly on your cell phone in public, Theo, so f*** off with your it's too early for that bullshit.
What, you guys have played the game before?
How do you think I got this, huh?
Yeah, totally. Those hearing aids are such a Minos trademark. I asked a really dumb question.
So that makes this what? Tournament of Champions?
No, I think it makes it some sort of Suicide Squad. Oh, and roll credits. Also, Rachel is correct, but this premise is broken from the start. Outside of Zoe and Ben, we don't know any of these other f***ers, and for the audience to be fully invested in a Tournament of Champions, I feel like we should have spent some time with these characters prior to said tournament. Escape Room Tournament of Champions takes the DCEU route to a franchise building.
It's my wife's birthday today.
It sounds like everyone else on this train who played a previous escape room is not here because they were investigating Minos. And yet, they're all here on this one car of the train. Which is a point I will keep making until I stop being mad at it. I'm sure in one of the next installments they're going to say all these players were in on it too, and that nobody really dies, but even with that, there's still too much they have to account for to make this work. What is up with the signage in the background? It's supposed to show the dangers of swinging on a subway pole, but it looks more along the lines of an advertisement for pole dancing training.
Come on, guys, you weren't listening to the whole clue. You said report any of this to the MTA employee, right?
Dude, if you were listening so carefully, why didn't you already tell everyone where they needed to go? Why waste time admonishing people for not listening to the clue? In any case, how f***ing hard is it to find a door that needs a handle on one subway car?
That's the conductor booth.
When Zoe went to talk to the conductor earlier, she went to the front of the car and discovered there wasn't anybody inside. Now this guy Theo walks to the back of the train to put the handle onto the conductor booth, but there can't be two different conductor booths on a single car, right? We know these are two different ends of the car because when Zoe went to the booth, there was a red handle directly behind her. When Theo goes to his side, there's a green handle.
Just give me the damn thing.
Theo knows the car is electrified, so why would he try this doorknob without any protection? He wants us to feel bad for Theo because he couldn't make it to his wife for her birthday, and I guess I do a little, but I also can't ignore his stupidity and realize everyone is probably better off. He's not on the team making decisions anymore.
What if we use a towel?
No, cotton is not a good enough insulator.
Movie never tells us what the towel is for, and I have to know!
Does anybody have keys so I can cut it?
Yeah.
Theo.
There's a green handle here. And there's a red one at the other end. Green is A, red is Z, right?
Okay, C is the third letter of the alphabet, so...
Yeah, but how do you know if the order is in a straight line or if it zigzags all the way down to Z?
7!
During this whole puzzle, people waste time putting single tokens into the slot, when they could be helping out with finding letters and pulling handles to get the tokens. When you step back from this, you'll realize these assholes waste a ridiculous amount of time during this game. I swear, there are people taking breaks in the middle of all this until it's time for the movie to show them doing something.
M! Ready? Go!
Why the f*** do they need to wait for each other to pull the handle down? This isn't some exercise where you need to be synced up, right?
It's a game of hangman.
Not really. I mean, in Hangman, you don't have any clues as to what the letters are, and the game doesn't add difficulty when you guess correctly. We aren't even told if there are consequences for pulling down the wrong handle, which is why I've been screaming, "Pull them all!" this entire time. 83 letters, and suddenly Theo spies a subway map with 3 missing letters on it, as if the movie is finally saying, we need to get on with this! So, just like the first film, at least one person will die during most of the challenges. I've heard a lot of people call the escape room movies Saw Light, but I think the biggest mistake the writers made was taking all of their inspiration from Saw 5 instead of the original.
Missing letter for WBNO!
How do you know?
You! This has got to be one of the most annoying sequences I've seen in a movie in a long time. Who gives a shit how she knows?
Just do it!
Just do it! That sounds like 3 letters in at least 2 different parts of the train to me. Why don't you at least do one of them? I want to punch everyone on this train.
The door's open!
Wow, glad she discovered this 7 minutes ago, or else they'd be f***ed. If she hadn't found this trapdoor, what clue was given by the puzzle maker to find it? Did they just assume people would start tearing tiles off the subway floor? Yeah, be sure to take a good long look at that welcome back sign. You already knew that's what it was going to say when you figured out the remaining 3 letters, but I guess the audience needed to see it.
We're moving!
We're going down.
Everyone in this cast is fighting hard for that Captain Obvious award. I have a feeling Ben will walk home with the trophy, but don't count Brianna out. She's sneaky.
Maybe we should just have a minute of silence. I mean, we did just lose somebody.
I guess you could. It's not like there's a timetable on all these Minos contraptions, and it's not like your life is at stake.
So for our groups, we were all lone survivors.
Except in the case of Zoe and Ben, they weren't lone survivors. And none of the other contestants questioned this.
My group was all influencers.
What, so your special skills were selfies?
Why is every person in this movie a dick? You'd think Ben would have learned from the last time he played. None of these people have any reason to hate each other, but nearly every single second of the last 15 minutes has been someone getting angry at another person for no f***ing good reason.
About 1 million followers, made some money, and then the scar happened. My last one was an exploding hall of mirrors.
Hey, you only got the 1 scar? Can I do a post Brianna survives this sin even if we didn't see the event take place? Because I'm going to.
Called me to some inter-church seminar or something. When I get there...
Oh, let me guess, 5 more priests?
Beginning of a bad joke, right?
Or a better movie.
I just don't understand.
Understand what?
This is also one of those kinds of movies where after someone says something, someone else has to chime in. and then the other as if the screenplay is trying to be democratic with the number of lines everyone has. This would be like if Led Zeppelin allowed John Paul Jones, John Bonham, and Jimmy Page to sing every other line of Stairway to Heaven.
Because I heard you on the train, it sounds like listening to her is what got you back into this mess.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure out what you other f***s did to get back into this mess. You didn't even have a Zoe to drag you back into the escape room madness. Why are you here?
They built a bank underground?
That's what's confusing you, Ben? Minos was able to orchestrate a ruse to get all 6 of you on one subway car and then circumvent the New York City subway system just to get you in the game again. But building an underground bank is a stretch?
Look, the vault door's open.
Oh, looks like Nate heard me favoring Brianna in the Captain Obvious contest. Strong play, Nate. Strong play.
Oh,
Surprisingly, this sequence takes almost 10 minutes to the second, which means I should probably take a sin off, so I won't.
Hey, guys. I think I found a key.
But what if he hadn't? If Nate doesn't find this key, which is extremely necessary and gets them down the correct path, then they're all dead in 10 minutes. But there is nothing in this room that leads them to the key, other than Nate just happens to glance down and there's a conveniently key-filled lollipop on the top of the stack. At least in Saw, the game didn't start until you engaged it, and you got super detailed instructions on what you were supposed to accomplish. Minos doesn't know how to John Kramer correctly, so he tries the key in all the safe deposit boxes, instead of looking for one that's unusual in some way. Normally I'd be all for this technique, but they don't have the time to put a key in every box and hope it opens.
Hey, come here, check this out. All the boxes have numbers except for this one.
Another way you could get Zoe over there is to simply say this box says Sonia and not waste all of our f***ing time.
Sonia. Who's Sonia?
Who cares? Stick the key in the box!
Following the payment of the death of a loved one. What do you call it when you get paid for a death?
Blood money.
This logical leap actually f***ing works. I mean, payment following the death of a loved one could be inheritance, but they went with blood money, which leads them to smear blood on blank dollar bills, which gives them the secret code they need. Zoe somehow rubs the blood on the correct part of the bill, even though she would have no way to know where to start.
Plot a course by the hours. 12 o'clock is straight, 3 o'clock is right.
Which is the correct assumption, but the game doesn't give you a clue as to which clock to start with. They go in order from right to left, but that's 100% a guess, so I'm 100% saying this works.
And plot a course for the rest of you.
Are there really enough suckers to create a trail for the others to follow? He's going to need 14 for the first part of this, and then at least another 14 afterwards. And when he grabs all the suckers, there are only 7 left on the table, which no one picks up later, and only 7 left in his pocket, which isn't enough to make a proper trail.
There's some international accounts on here. There's Tokyo in South Africa. Maybe that's it.
Whoever made this puzzle went to the same length that the person on the set of 7 did to write that John Doe diary. Way too much unneeded detail, especially for the time required to get through the puzzle. If they had 50 men reading in 24-hour shifts, it would still take 2 months. Not only does Nate survive this, but the scene has now had 3 chances to give us a person cut in half by a laser and not followed through. Fool me once, fool me twice, but fool me 3 times and something sin. Zoe has the laminated cheat sheet following the correct tiles here. You'll notice that it starts on a white square and moves forward 2 squares before the next turn. However, the priest walked on completely different tiles when he was trying to use faith to get across. He was already on a white square, then he stepped to his right on a black square, then he stepped forward 3 more squares, and then ends up on a black square that trips up the laser grid. There are a total of 4 safe squares on this path, and the map shows only 3, and the color scheme is wrong. Holy shit, Zoe better be glad she's not playing Squid Game, because once that clock ran out, she would have been brutally murdered. Instead, this puzzle decides, you did good enough. Also, the laser grid shot every laser simultaneously when Brianna tripped the grid at the start. I know Minos wants Zoe to make escape rooms for them, but they could have killed her here, and it's hard to imagine they could rig the lasers to be this slow. I'm so tired of Ben yelling in this movie. I hope he falls into a huge pile of sand. Oh, hey look, sand!
Look at all this sand.
You betcha, kiddo.
There's a tiny boat that's not on the wall.
Well, good thing you took that picture in that exact spot and nowhere else, huh? I guess they could have put boats everywhere, no matter where you took them, but it really feels like she got the perfect shot on one try.
I'll bet that fridge is our way out.
Sure, why not?
Blind Love?
What, like the Bon Jovi song?
Hearing the term blind love and your first thought is a Bon Jovi song.
Seriously, how do we miss this?
You just started looking, right? I guess the scene might have been longer at one time, but to the audience, you've been here for 2 minutes.
You know, my dad found a silver dollar with one of those once. It was worth $1.
Why is this dialogue?
There's nothing here.
Another thing about this movie, constant updates from the characters about every little thing. You haven't checked the whole beach yet, dude. If you did, then I will listen to you complain about not finding anything.
Look at the lighthouse. It has a ladder on it now.
We can see the ladder, but how the f*** can Zoe see it? It's super dark outside. You can barely see it when Zoe is actually at the lighthouse.
I'm gonna go check the boat!
If Ben doesn't make this decision, then all of them die in this room. But there's nothing leading Ben to make this decision. He doesn't even think of the blind love connection until after he's back at the boat. For all the clue solving and brain work being shown to us, this movie still comes down to these characters getting lucky as hell in just about every situation. What does Zoe see here? Does she see some sort of opening? A weird way the light is coming out of this blue circle? I don't know, but it apparently fuels an obsession with prying it off and seeing if it's the exit, even though it doesn't have anything to do with the clues they've just solved.
Blind love and I can't see you. Wait, the mannequin.
Ah, yes, we all remember the mannequin. The motherly mannequin with the blue striped towel and the camel toe. I can't see you is a pun on sea and seashells, I guess? The mannequin didn't have much to do with the rest of the clues, and you can only get the clue about the mannequin after the entire beach starts to sink, and it could be gone by then. I agree that Minos is evil and would make puzzles stupidly hard so that people will die, but you had to make a huge reach to solve this one. I won't bother with playing any of the argument in this sin because it's loud as and it's stupid. They're actually having a debate about whether their way out is the correct one or if it's Zoe's. So, let's see. Which one will we pick? The one where if you play the game correctly, it comes to the logical conclusion of walking through the refrigerator? Or Zoe's, where she pried something off a wall that had nothing to do with the escape room's rules whatsoever? I don't know. Maybe two of us should run into the ever-sinking sand to try Zoe's way. What could go wrong? I mean, what tells Brianna that the fridge way is wrong? Oh man, I'm sorry, Ben. I was really rooting for you there. Oh, who am I kidding? You deserve this. How much time did you waste? How much of an asshole have you been so far? Pound sand, Ben! Character sees loved one die in front of them and immediately has flashbacks to their time together cliche. Also, Zoe decides to have a flashback of a guy she knew all of 2 weeks instead of saving her own ass.
You still have your phone, right? With the video from the train.
Yeah, because videos made on phones always lead to the guilty being punished by the courts. Foolproof.
I can't feel physical pain. Just imagine the kinds of puzzles Minos came up with for the pain freaks.
This sounds like a much better movie than the one we're watching, quite frankly. I mean, please, I'm all ears. You can spend the remaining 28 minutes telling me about this version of the escape room and it will be better than anything we will see from this point on. We're about to find out that they're still in the game, but why the did Minos put a second exit in that beach puzzle? You might say, well, it's just human error and it was never intended to be an exit, but this sort of seems like a planned exit to me. If it wasn't supposed to be an exit, they went through a lot of trouble just to attach this moon to the beach scene.
We made it.
After all the shit they've been through and after all the realities they've seen Minos create, Rachel isn't concerned at all this might be another Minos tactic. Why are these characters?
I don't understand.
You, yes you do. You've been in enough escape rooms at this point to realize that Minos took the technology from the Umbrella Corporation in Resident Evil Retribution that makes virtual reality cities look real. I'm surprised you haven't been attacked by one of those huge axe-swinging dudes yet. Hell, they spell it out right here.
What did they do to you?
It's acid. When the timer runs out, it rains acid.
You couldn't tell them that before now? What the f***? They're standing underneath an awning for protection, and now the acid rain is cutting through it. But it's rained at least 3 times since Brianna got here, and the last awning they were under got nearly destroyed. So how are there any awnings left? If the acid is causing the chain to melt, then the chain should have already been melting, if not completely melted, from the acid rain. Also, I understand that Rachel can't feel physical pain, but she is still causing potentially permanent damage to her skin and hand by touching the bottle. Why not at least try to find something to put between the two?
Stay in there, okay? There's not enough room for all of us!
You can't. Put one of them on another's shoulders or just squeeze the in there. Get the out of here with there's not enough room. These characters are dumb. Considering how often doors shut on their own in this game, why hasn't anyone thought to hold a goddamn door open until everyone is in? Also, this is just plain cheating. Even if you have a captive audience watching this for entertainment, they would definitely get angry at this what the ism.
Don't give them satisfaction, okay?
Easy for you to say, person who feels no pain. Technically, we sinned Amanda's return at the beginning of the film, but it's so stupid I just have to sin it again.
Sonia's my daughter. They kidnapped her so I would help them.
You built this game?
Why would a mega corporation like Minos need Amanda to create escape rooms for them? They must be super desperate for help if they've resorted to kidnapping children and forcing former players to do that job. Also, I've seen the extended cut where there is no Amanda and we find out that the little girl who played Orphan is creating the game because her dad is forcing her to do it. But even if I hadn't seen that version, inserting Amanda into this movie in this way already feels dishonest. Furthermore, all the games had a theme relating to Amanda's daughter that doesn't really mean much to the other players, even Zoe, who didn't even know Amanda's daughter's name. In the extended version, all the daughter stuff relates to the game maker's daughter. They really shoehorned Amanda into this, didn't they?
Who better to design a game than someone who beat them?
Games designed by people who beat the game don't necessarily make the games harder to beat. If you just want assholes to lose all the time, you'd just make an actual Saw sequel where Jigsaw wasn't making puzzles anymore and his disciples were creating impossible traps.
What are you talking about?
If you didn't see it, it didn't happen.
What's with the coded phrases at this point? Zoe knows the drill. Amanda literally laid it all out for her. So why not say, Ben is trapped in a room behind you that will fill with water and he will drown unless you agree to Minos' demands. Instead of this, if you didn't see it, bullshit.
Oh my god, Ben! You're alive!
Okay, so Minos kept Ben alive so that Zoe would feel the need to help them. But what if Ben survived the beach puzzle? Would there have been some fluke thing during the acid rain puzzle that would have kept him alive? This movie's trying to say Minos had kidnapping Ben in mind the whole time so that Zoe would make escape rooms for them, but none of what I've seen suggests they could control that. I guess they could have used Amanda for the same purpose, but this is a development dictated by a movie script rather than a logical thought process.
Zoe! Zoe, don't do it!
Ben would have no way to hear or see what Zoe is agreeing to or not agreeing to do. Man, this is the kind of world we live in. If people can just turn down high-paying jobs like this, where are we going as a country?
They're filling the room with water! They're gonna drown me!
To be fair, Ben, you told Zoe not to agree to Minos' terms. Maybe the lesson being taught to you is to shut up every now and then and let Zoe make her own decisions. I'm not saying you deserve death, but I'm also not saying you deserve death. Hey, remember when Zoe stole a lighter from Ben at the beginning of the road trip? Amazing how that comes into play at this very moment of the movie. And it's a Zippo lighter to boot. Also, why was there even a gas pipe running through this room anyway? Did the puzzle maker really think that one of the players would try this? Did they think, oh well, whoever gets this far will definitely have a Zippo lighter. There's a 1 in a million chance anyone would think to do this, but hey, I believe in miracles.
Hey, does it look like that's draining you?
I guess, but this series of miracle escapes is certainly draining to me.
Hey, the door!
They don't have enough time to make it to the door before it closes all the way, but they will anyways. These absolute veterans of Minos escape rooms run wildly toward an exit, even though it's been proved time and again that they could be in another puzzle. As we look at the series of boxes that Minos put the players in, I'm wondering how the beach room led to the New York City acid rain room. Remember, there were 2 different exits there, and somehow both led to this box. Granted, I can't see the entire game floor, but I'm going to send the possibility of the beach exits going to the New York box anyway. We will shortly find out Zoe and Ben are still in the game, and all of this is staged. Maybe it's possible for a company like Minos to have the capital and ability to stage all this nonsense, but I always have to ask, are there really this many people that would be okay with all this straight-up murder? I mean, yes, sadly, I believe there are people that would pay for this kind of thing, but who is this person playing the fake newscaster? What is she getting paid to make it worth taking part in the killing of so many people? Where do you find the person willing to take this small of a role in the activities?
Now, the criminal organization behind this is known as Minos, and our sources are telling us that both federal authorities and Interpol have been after them for some time.
Also, I just don't see the point of this fake-out, other than to make your characters feel safe for a moment before you pull a trap door and they're in some new escape room. Is this for the drama so that the gamblers feel like they're getting their money's worth, or to trick the movie audience?
It's over. It's really over.
Premature overabration.
Would you fly back with me?
You drove, remember? Don't you have a car parked around here somewhere?
Dr. Soames?
Do I know you, dear?
Dumb, dumb, dumb. Also, fake Dr. Soames said earlier to Zoe, you tried to fly 3 times. So what did Minos do those other 3 times? Did they still play the game with the other passengers involved? If the real Dr. Soames was needed for this ruse to play out, was she on all 3 of those flights? And why does the real Dr. Soames have to be involved? Why does Zoe have to figure out she's in the game before the game starts? What if she hadn't gotten up to go to the bathroom or hadn't noticed a lady with gray hair? Does the game just never continue if this turn of events doesn't go as planned? God, this movie is so f***ing stupid.
Tell us, Zoe, did we do a good job convincing you?
Wow, this whole ripping off Saw notion is no longer remotely subtle.
The game only ends when we say it ends.
Seriously, Minos must be part of everything, like Spectre wrapped inside Hydra wrapped inside Umbrella to make this possible. Even if you had microphones trained on Zoe when she made this decision to fly, how do you scramble everything in an airport at a moment's notice to make all this possible? What if Zoe remembered she had a car and decided to drive back? Was there something set up for that? Also, a movie promised this airplane escape room at the end of the last movie and teased it again in this movie.
I mean, the average life expectancy here is, what, 6 months? I've been here 7 years.